Welcome back everybody, DestinysJesus here. In today's video I'm covering 10 of the best spots for arena to get points fast. These are basically spots where you're not going to die off spawn too much, rather than just hot dropping in at the POI or just going for one of the major POI the whole time and dying off spawn loads and losing arena points. These are going to be safer spots that you can land than easily get into fights and still drop like 10-15 kill win games consistently if you're a good player. Of course, with the start of this chapter, you've got a brand new map, so you guys are going to be completely unfamiliar with it. There's a lot of things you should know about this map. There's a really important spots and chests that you should be going for. And of course, there's a big lack of loot and metal across the entire map. So these spots, some of them are going to be really good for comp, and you can definitely run them in duos. And the majority of them are just going to be better for arena. Just the whole point of this video. So I hope you enjoy. And let's get straight into this with this first spot, which is very good for keying. So one of the biggest reasons that you're not gaining arena points this season is you're trying to go for somewhere too busy and too contested, just so you get a load of fights on spawn. The issue with that is obviously you're going to die spawn too much, especially if it's a spot where you don't have a drop map for, as most people don't during the early days of the season. You're going to have a really hard time. So what I'd recommend doing is landing at spots like this. So if you want to contest faulty splits, instead land at this little hut outside. You're going to instantly get an oath round chest, which means that you either get a hammer or one of the sword guns where you can actually break people's builds really easily. And you're going to have an insane loot advantage over everyone else. Anyone else at the south area here is going to be 50-50ing each other and fighting for the small amount of loot, and you're going to come in with about 30 seconds to immediately third party them. It's one of the best spots, I think, for getting high kills, because you can wipe out the south area here and then go into actually faulty splits itself and clean it out afterwards. You should normally leave with about 5 kills and really good loot after this straight away. Alright, so next up, this is another one of those third party spots, so you can probably make work in duos as well, just because you do get a lot of metal from this spot. Is to go ahead and land on this cargo beach right here. There's a whole lot of chests. You can see there's barrels as well that don't show up on the minimap at the moment. Then you can go up to the north here, up to these extra chests, and then you zip line straight across into Lonely Labs, and you can third party normally within about 2 minutes of the game starting, which is really good. So you can wipe out the final remaining players up here that are still fighting, and then you can go on a third party Brew Bastion as well pretty quickly straight afterwards. Alright, next up, this is Loot Lake. It's very similar to the first part I mentioned. You go ahead and land at this top, you get an Oathbound chest straight away, which is really good. And then you go ahead and leave with pretty decent mats compared to the other spot I mentioned earlier. And you can go ahead and get more chests if you need them down south this way. If not, you're going to go straight into here and third party these other players. If you spot that this house isn't looted and you still need more loot before fighting, you should get a bit more comfortable, get a bit more like better guns and stuff. You have a shotgun, let's say, go ahead and loot this house as well, and then go straight in and continue on your regular loot path and fighting people with faulty splits. Next up, this is probably one of the best spots that you can run in duos in the moment, I would say. It's one of the only spots that's going to give you a decent amount of metal, and also you just control the whole side of the map that you're playing from, since you're the furthest bottom left team. And it's going to be this bit down here. In duos, I'd recommend someone landing over this side and then cutting in the opposite way. And in solos, if you want to be a little quicker, you can just loot this house and then go straight into third partying people and trying to fight people. Let's see, when you go into Shattered Slabs, you want to go over towards this house or a Frenzy. Both of those are really good options. This is actually one of the better spots, I'd say, for this season. It's going to be very underrated, and I can see a very top team claiming this. Next up, this is probably my favourite spot for arena that I found. It's just landing at this caravan park right here. As you can see, it's pretty evenly distributed. You normally get contested by like one person at this caravan park, maybe 2 if you're a bit unlucky. However, that is pretty good because you get some early action. You can easily get to around like 300 metal, or if you want to farm the rest of this, you can get like 400, 500 metal region. And then again, you've got very easy third parties. If you need more loot, you can come down the rivers. The rivers on this current map have a lot of loot on them, and then go straight into Frenzy Fields, or you can third party your way into faulty splits as well, just depending. I'm going to say this again, make sure you're doing these little split drops, getting 1 or 2 early fights in, and then going into a bigger POI. It's going to be a lot more successful for you guys getting arena points. I'd highly recommend it. Next up, we've got a bit more of a chill spot. This is something I'd recommend doing if you don't want to be just third partying of POI straight away. You want the option to just go out and play out the game regularly. Is to be landing over here at Breakwater Bay. In the video, I actually did it slightly wrong. You should be landing straight on these oath chests and then going into Breakwater Bay if you want to fight that way. However, if you just want to go ahead and land here and then rotate up to this free area majority of the time, that is going to be something really successful to do. And also something that you can work very well in duos. Both guys can land both together or split and then go ahead and fight together. Or if you want to play trios, there's enough loot up here as well for another player as well. This next spot is probably the most simple spot. If you just want a nice, quick, easy landing spot where you loot up for like a minute, minute 30, and then just go fight someone, this is the place to do it. Land over here at the stone tower, land at the very top, so you get the full spawn up top, and then you can work your way down, get even more chests, and then from there you can go ahead and pad to basically anywhere around you. You can pad the whole way into Bastion and just fight anyone that you please, or alternatively you can go ahead and fight the guy over here and catch him off guard while he's still looting. It's a little bit contested, so it's quite good to get some spawn practice here. And if you want to learn this for any solo tournaments coming up, I'd recommend it. This next spot is probably the best spot on this list in terms of just the amount of loot you're going to get. It's fairly contested. You should pick 1 or 2 people per game. As a spot that you want to learn and just master through the season, I'd really recommend doing so. If you're lucky enough to get the cooler perk fairly quickly during the early game, as you're looting this place, since there's so many cooler spawns as well automatically, you're going to come out with at least like 12 chugs every single game. If you guys didn't know, whenever you get that cooler perk where you open something and get splashes from it, it means that you can open an ammo box, a fishing barrel or something like that, and you're going to get 4 splashes guaranteed. It's unbelievably broken, or 2 splashes. It's so broken. And the spot itself is very good, and it's got good third-party options. If you're going to go to Frenzy Fields, and you should be looting with a decent amount of meta, which is pretty good in terms of box fighting in the current meta. And of course, you've got those quick third-party times where you can go through, get a whole lot of chests in your way, get even more kitted out, and then just have a loot advantage on anyone at Frenzy Fields that's been scrapping the whole game.